guys ready? Let's stand. I'll just pray and we'll jump right in. Lord, I'm thankful for these moments, God. I'm thankful for a time and a place set apart to come in a unique way and meet with you. Lord, I do my best to meet with you on a daily basis, but there is something different about gathering together with the body and meeting with you in that format. So Lord, we are asking you to come in a unique way that you can only come when your body's gathered together. So I'm asking you to come, and I'm asking you to, of course, inhabit the praises of your people, and we want to minister to you, we want to worship you and honor you, but I'm asking you to meet each and every person in an individual way as you see fit. Lord, whatever they need, I pray, Lord, that you would meet it. I pray that you would speak to hearts, that you would touch bodies, and that you would heal minds. We've come for you, and you are faithful. There's none more faithful than you. So Lord, I invite you, I ask you to come, and I ask you to touch your people. In Jesus' name.
is washing over me. Your face is all I seek. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only cry to know you all my life. Your love so deep is washing over me. Your face Just You go before. I know that you've even gone to win my war. Your love becomes my greatest defense. It leads me from the dry wilderness, and all I did was praise, and all I did was worship. All I did was bow down. All I did was stay still. And hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better your way.
grateful that you're my defender. Lord, that you're the one watching over my heart. And the truth is, you're the one watching over your word to perform it. And Lord, I've learned that it's not my job to focus on the word, it's my job to focus on you. And you make it happen. So Lord, thank you for being the great defender. I ask that every person here would have the revelation of who you are as defender and who you are as the one who watches over their heart. Thank you, Lord, for meeting us here. Thank you for being with us. We love you. All right, guys, you can take a seat. All right, we have a special guest speaker, so I would ask that everyone lean forward and give him your utmost attention and welcome him as he comes. Jason.
Appreciate it. I'm so loud. Oh, I need a breath, I feel like, after. I don't know that there's, I know we all love worship. I don't know if there's anything I can even add at this point, so we'll see y'all next week. I got hit in the middle of all that with just a flood of all the memories of how faithful he's been over so many years, and I know everybody has those memories and those testimonies, but it's just one of those things when it hits you, you try to practice gratitude and it changes your perspective, but when that flood comes in, because, you could just start writing and write out page after page after page of how much he's done and how faithful he's been. And I know me and my family we've been through the ups and downs and hills and valleys, and sometimes you just have to think about those faithful moments to kind of keep moving forward. But I always over-prepare, I feel like. So I've got my notes, so we'll go through them. We'll see how far we get. Maybe we make it through the whole thing, but we'll see where it leads. I know, so 2 weeks ago we talked about, I know somebody remembers, it's not Jenny, pop quiz. Living Epistle, bam, that's it. Somebody's been watching the YouTubes. So 2 weeks ago, Living Epistle, so we looked at like Joseph, Daniel, some of those stories, and I was even thinking about that week before he talked, these people didn't know they were going to be a story in the Bible one day. It's somebody actually living out obedience, and then somebody else recorded it and passed it down. But it's here for us to learn from them, and then, as we talked about, apply that to your life, because you don't know. Everywhere you go, you don't know who you're going to impact. So last week, any takers on last week's? Oaks of Righteousness. Okay, very, very cool. So I feel like I would kind of continue on that path maybe of if Living Epistle was sort of the what and Oaks of Righteousness was kind of the how, we'd maybe dive into a little bit of the why and think about ourselves, talk about ourselves a little bit, and then move on from there. So the title is like longing. So we all have natural, longings. Sometimes those get out of whack, those get misplaced, and then move on to belonging, which, we talk about abiding, we talk about belonging, we talk about knowing who you are. If you watch Damon Thompson, he talks a lot about identity, like John 17 and that whole thing. And then becoming, is the third part, provided we get there. Because, who are we trying to become, and how do we build that with God? So I think, my life for sure. I spent a lot of years. We'll dive into like somewhat personal testimony time. Just, and by the way, it's been a lot of years. I thought I knew what I wanted, maybe at least out of a period of life. You know, everybody says, let's get our 5-year plan together, and now I just throw that out the window. I try not to put anything on my calendar any more than like 24 hours in advance, because who knows if it'll happen anyway. I say a lot, by the way. I'm working on it. So, bear with me. But there was a time in my life for sure when I was at a super awesome place that you've probably been to called CVS Pharmacy. And some friends of mine sort of got me hired there. So I was like, oh, that'd be cool. Go work with my friends. And hired in as a shift manager. And so obviously I was working towards the next step. And the next step at that time was becoming an assistant manager. And then obviously, you know, you get a pay raise and all this kind of stuff. So that sounded cool. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And Bella was about to be born in 2000, way back in the dark ages, 2008. Did we even have internet back then? I don't know. So 2008, I actually moved up to assistant manager. I was like, man, this is going to be great. There was a recurring theme for a while for us. You know, if we had a kid, like we got a pay raise. So I don't know. I don't think that's biblical, but it certainly helped us out. I wouldn't, you know, maybe suggest that to anybody, but if it works, it works. I'll take it. But spent a few years doing that, and then obviously the next step was try to become a store manager. So that sounded like a great logical step. I'm an analytical thinker. I like trying to work the logic of absolutely everything. It drives Lori crazy sometimes. She's like, sometimes things don't have to make sense, and they just are what they are. But that kind of irritates me. But anyway, so Beats was about to be born 2010. So here comes, you know, they said, you can move up to store manager. They had a spot for me. I was super excited for about 3 days, I think, over maybe a weekend. I was like, man, this is going to be so awesome. And I remember, I remember the weirdest things about points in time. I remember that Enrique Iglesias song was popular. I don't remember the name of it, though. It was not Hero. It was the more dancey one. But I remember driving down the road and being so elated. I was like, yeah, let's go, Enrique. I should get promoted. But that's completely unrelated to this, but it's fun to think about. By Monday morning, I think, of the next week, the reality had set in of not only is this going to be difficult, but it might be terrible. And I was going, so they called me, they said, show up at this day, at this time, at this store. I had worked there previously as a shift manager for the guy that actually hired me. So I was going, I show up, they're supposed to count inventory that week. So he thinks I'm coming to help for inventory. They know they're going to walk in and fire him at some point and hand me the keys to the store. And oh, by the way, he's the guy that hired me. So super awkward. It did not go well, as you might imagine, when someone shows up for work and unexpectedly gets walked out. So that was intense. And then they're like, well, it's time for us to go. Here's the keys. Have fun. And I remember calling the guy that I worked for. He was a store manager when I was assistant manager. And I remember calling him, or maybe he called me. He was checking in, asking how things were going. I was like, you know, probably, I would say almost in tears to protect my pride a little bit, but I was pretty much crying. I was like, can I come back? I was like absolutely ready to go back to Egypt. I said, you know, I don't care. Like, somebody else can do this. That's fine. I'll just go back and do what I was doing before. It's not a big deal. That'll be fine with me. But he was like, no, you know, you got to stick it out. So Beats is born about 2 weeks later, I think. And during that time, all this stuff was happening. I thought I knew what I wanted. So that longing was inside me, and I had taken it and misplaced it completely. I remember talking to my pastor at the time also and saying, hey, it never, like, this is how my brain works sometimes, but I said, it never occurred to me to ask God, this looks like a logical next step for me. Is this what you want for me? I didn't even ask. I was an idiot. And so I remember talking to him about that. and learned a valuable lesson in all that. And I think, I probably screwed that whole thing up, but he was faithful anyway and walked me through that. I think it served its purpose for sure over the course of time that I was there. But about the time Beats was born, I got super depressed. And I think in hindsight, I believe there was something over either that area or that store in general. I don't know how many people got like marital problem. It was like everybody but us. Pretty much had something or got divorced, whatever. It was just wrecking. There was some weird circumstances, I think years prior, with a really heinous crime that had taken place in that area. Didn't know that till later, but I think that might have been some of it. But if there's any Jason Upton fans in here, I remember going in that store because I would open, I'd be by myself, it'd be dark and scary in there, and I would go in and just play Jason Upton, sing Jason Upton. I was like, this is all I know to do to show up and get through the day because I didn't even want to get out of bed. I remember, Bella's about 2 at that time. She's watching Dora the Explorer. Dora the Explorer makes me cry. Lori's forcing me out of bed to just go walk, and we see a school bus. I'm like, well, school bus makes me cry because one day my kids are going to go to school and then they're going to get old and then they're going to graduate and then I'll be sad because they'll be gone and the whole thing. So I was just kind of spiraling, I guess. But I think to put a bow on that whole time, I thought, and it lasted for a few days. I think a lot of things last for a minute, that next thing or something you chase. You see it with, addictive behavior all the time. That next thing, that high flattens after a while. It doesn't matter how good it is. If it's not rooted in the Lord, then, it might feel good for a minute. But that longing, it's there and it's healthy when it's directed at the proper place. I just really missed the mark and kind of chased my own thing, just trying to figure things out as 20-something-year-olds do. But there's a psychological term called hedonic adaptation, and you see, celebrities, they chase whatever pinnacle they're after for years and years and years, and they finally get there, and they're like, man, this is the most hollow, and that's how I felt. I just felt absolutely gutted when I got that promotion in my hand. And not only that, but it's like, well, I got this, and where am I going to go next? Because there was, I don't really think about hitting the glass ceiling at a CVS pharmacy, but I understood the term, a little more at that point, because I don't know, I got this, great. Now it's terrible, and I don't know what to do, and I'm depressed. So I think thinking about framing that, and that it ultimately worked out because all of him. I just, tried to. I remember being in that place, absolutely just pushing trash to the dumpster, giving up, and said, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care anymore. I'll just do what I do and move on with my life, and whatever happens, happens. And so completely defeated. If I had partnered with him beforehand, if I had pushed that longing into something that was more aligned with what I should have been doing, I think it would have turned out a lot better. But I wanted to talk about, having longing is okay, but it needs to be directed in the proper avenues, because if you don't, you'll end up in a situation like I was and take a few years to claw out of the hole. I want to look at Jeremiah 31:25. I've got a bunch of stuff in here. I'll read it all. If you want to flip there, that's good. If you want to just write it down, I'll read it. But it says, I will satisfy the weary soul, and every languishing soul I will replenish. So I was definitely unsatisfied and languishing. But in that, he's not necessarily promising better circumstances. I think people have issue with that a lot of times. It's like, well, I need God to fix X, Y, and Z, and he will. But sometimes if it doesn't look like the way they wanted it to, they just kind of spiral out of control like I did. Sort of, you can give up. Somebody said, if your faith is an inch deep and a mile wide, it's the first thing that comes along will just knock you down and you may never come back from it. But that's saying, I will satisfy. So he promises wherever you are that he'll be in the middle of it, not necessarily, your circumstances are going to change tomorrow. But the promise and the satisfaction should always be him, even when you're longing for something. And I like my example, I got it way off course. So there's always an invitation for more when you're thinking about your longing for God. I'm sure that as a human person with a average lifespan, whatever it is today for an American male, I can't exhaust what God's got for me. So that's a nice thought. I know that I can explore the absolute depths of his love, like we sang about, and never even scratch the surface of what's actually there. Psalm 16:11. You show me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures evermore. So it's a picture of not just joy from blessings, like, yeah, I got a pay raise when I took that promotion without asking God if I should, but at the end of it, I didn't really care. I would have given it all back to have some peace. So your joy is going to be found in his presence ultimately. And that was kind of, I got to that point out of necessity because I was so broken and so spiraled out of control that I'm just grabbing onto any worship song I can find. I'm just grasping at anything. I know, I've made a mistake. That's the direction I need to get back to. But finding your joy in his presence instead of finding other things, other avenues. And I think we all know that, but it's super easy to be busy and overwhelmed and have things happen, and you get 22 emails and 3 phone calls, and somebody needs X, Y, and Z in 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and tomorrow, and it kind of flies out the other side of your head that I need to focus. I need to, this stuff can be important, that's fine, but I need to stay aligned and find my joy in him. So that every earthly joy, we're going to have stuff like, this is great, worship's great, hanging out with you guys is great. Going to Steak and Shake and getting a milkshake is great, but for most people. But those are like mile markers on your journey. That's not, you can't just let that be the goal, or, the proverbial rat race that people get locked up into. But I think if you can learn to read that longing that you just have as a human and redirect it, that it'll tell you something. And I didn't really pay attention to, I had the longing, I thought I had it figured out, but I really didn't. So I should have been more mindful of what was actually going on, and at least, entered a little prayer and done something. Luke 4, 1-13. This is Jesus' temptation. So right after he was baptized, the Holy Spirit leads him into the wilderness, 40 days, being tempted by the devil. We'll pick up in verse 2. Being tempted by the devil, he ate nothing during these days. And when they were ended, he was hungry. The devil said to him, if you are the Son of God, command this stone to become bread. And Jesus answered him, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone. And the devil took him up and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time, and said to him, to you I will give all this authority and their glory, for it has been delivered to me, and I give it to whom I will. If you then will worship me, it will all be yours. And Jesus answered to him, it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. And he took him to Jerusalem and set him on the pinnacle of the temple and said to him, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you, and on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone. And Jesus answered him, "It is said, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test." And when the devil had ended every temptation, he departed from him until an opportune time. So I think everyone knows that story. And, Jesus has just been baptized. He heard, "This is my son whom I'm well pleased." He's rooted and grounded in his identity. So you see just a picture of physical longing even. 40 days he's hungry. The devil says, "If you are the Son of God." So trying to inject, and that's, they talk about, back from Genesis, the Garden of Eden, pride of the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. So you kind of see that same scenario here. But Dallas, you okay? I can call you out. Kind of see that same thing here, but he's injecting the doubt. So if Jesus was like me at CVS, he would have said, "Well, if you don't do this, your poor little babies are going to starve. Like, this is stupid. I mean, you've got to do it." So you've got to be not only, you're going to have to deal with the longings. You're going to have to deal with, what do I have that, I have to live, I have to eat, I have to work. But you've got to long for God above all else, regardless of what he tells you. You've got to just work out that obedience for yourself. And I think the older I get, the more I realize it's different for everybody. And I can't expect somebody else to live out my walk. I definitely can't. And it's not fair to Tanner for me to say, "Well, Tanner's got like the spiritual stuff covered. I'll just show up and kind of sing a song and take it to the house and hope I have a good week." It's not fair. It's not fair to me to judge somebody else by they don't walk the same walk I walk, because God's called me to something. God's called me to be Jason. God's called Adam to be Adam. God's called Asher to be Asher. And it's not fair to somebody else to put your stuff on them, and it's not fair for them to project that on you. And it's just different for everybody. And I think, you have to work that out for yourself. And the only way you're going to be able to do it is directing that longing toward God, and then just, building that communion with him. And we'll kind of get to that as we go a little further. But, how many times have you believed "if" instead of what God already said? So that's kind of, if I'm good enough, if I'm holy enough, if I prove myself. And I spent, maybe because of the way I was brought up, the way I was, taught in school, busted theology, that kind of thing. Not my parents' fault if you're watching the live stream. Other people's fault. Just constant self-disapproval, and that messes up your decision making. So rooted in that identity, then you're a lot less affected by circumstances. You can't keep trying to answer a question that's already been answered. Like, I hear stories. I think it's kind of weird personally, but I get it. People that are like, "Well, I don't really know if I'm saved. I don't feel saved," and to have that level of a lack of identity is kind of sad. But those deserts, like, not to even compare my 3 years as a miserable store manager to this desert 40 days without eating, but those deserts will shape you if you let them. Like Tanner talks a lot about, it's important that you surrender, and boy, can I be stubborn. And I feel like stubborn and just like animals. The Bible uses animals a lot, and I get that too. It's like, man, dumb and stubborn sometimes. And I can be a slow learner. But those moments, those seasons, if you can say, I have these longings, I want you to be my primary longing. If you've got circumstances, but you know who you are, you know what he said, you believing those promises despite your circumstances, and then letting him shape you. Like, Joseph's life is a great example. How many bad things. I don't know if I could have come back from all that, being in lockup. And then the guys, he finally helped somebody out, and they're like, I won't forget you, bro. And they're like, they got back and forgot all about him. That would take a toll. But, I think he surrendered. I think he knew. He trusted God. He surrendered to that process, even though, man, when you read about it, it was rough. Isaiah 43:1, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by my name. I have called you by name. You are mine. So God speaks directly to restlessness and fear. Says redeemed, called, claimed, you are mine. It's, he's declaring these things. It's not conditional. It's something he did. Like, we don't have to do it. It's already taken care of. I think that, redeemed, called, claimed addresses a lot of the anxiety that you could have if you believe those ifs in your life. When that, they call the devil the accuser of the brethren, it kind of has to be untrue to be, accusations are either true or untrue, but his are false. So it's going to always be some form of this injected if and try to get you off track. Your circumstances don't define your identity. If you're big, like I said, the John 17 stuff, if you're rooted in that identity, your circumstances, you're going to be, I get frustrated with Microsoft Excel. I get frustrated with things, and that's part of being human, but you can't let it, those circumstances can't just push you off track. So when God looks at you, he sees the blood of Jesus, and he remembers the covenant. So I think even the times you do screw up, I've had to learn to give myself grace. I was praying one time, and I may have shared it with some people here, but he said, you're a lot more worried about what you've done than what I've done. And that kind of flipped a switch in my head, at least, to, it's covered. Just, repent and move on. It's really as simple as that. So, we have a human side, but we're not made for just earthly things. And like we talked about, everything here, even the milkshakes, even the great things, even the promotions, after a long enough period of time, all that stuff is not going to fulfill you at all. But it does point you somewhere. And I think a lot of people struggle. They never can just turn that corner of the struggle, the longing. They just try to fill it with so many things. But the only thing that can fill it is God. And for me, anyway, I had heard that, and I thought I believed it, but until I really lived through some of that, I was like, man, I can love all these things, but there's nothing that satisfies like he does. And I remember, this is probably back in 2020, and it was a secular band. They weren't the greatest, but I remember him saying, these times, and we kind of talked about this with the kids. He was like, don't listen to this anymore. Or not that it was just horrible or anything, but it's like, okay, but internally, I was really, it's a small struggle, but it's still a struggle. It's like, I liked them so much. I was like, well, what if they put out new music and I don't get to hear it? And it kind of bummed me out, but I was like, so there's partial obedience, which I think is not obedience maybe. And then I heard a guy talking about this, but there's this resistant obedience that maybe is at least a little step above, like a little better. So I was initially resistant in that, but I was obedient, and then it wasn't that long. A few weeks later, I just didn't care anymore. And I think you just have to be willing to go through some of that kind of stuff, to work it out for yourself, to really realize that, oh, his way is better, his way is higher than mine, and I can have this misplaced desire for stuff and things, and even if it's not bad, But, if he asks you to lay it down, then lay it down, and just let those desires, put them before him, and just let them lead you further into relationship with him. Shifting a little bit to the belonging aspect. You see Numbers 13 and 14 talks about the 12 spies. And we can read, I'll read part of it at least. I'm reading all my stuff out of my phone so I can read out of ESV. But 13 picks up, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I'm giving the people of Israel. Well, he's already saying, I'm giving it to the people. That was the promise from Abraham, right? So from each tribe of their fathers you shall send a man, every one a chief among them. So Moses sent them. We can skip through all the names. We'll talk about a couple of them later. But coming down to verse 17, Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan and said to them, go up into the Negeb and go up into the hill country and see what the land is, and whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak, whether they are few or many, and whether the land that they dwell in is good or bad, and whether the cities that they dwell in are camps or strongholds, and whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there are trees in it or not. Be of good courage and bring some of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the season for the first ripe grapes. So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin to Rehob near Lebo Hamath. They went up to the Negeb and came to Hebron. I'm going to skip some of these names because I'll just mess them up. And they came to the valley of Eshcol and cut down from there a branch with a single cluster of grapes, and they carried it on a pole between two of them. They also brought some pomegranates and figs. The place was called the valley of Eshcol because of the cluster that the people of Israel cut down from there. So you get to the report of the spies. At the end of 40 days, they returned from spying out the land. And they came to Moses and Aaron, to all the congregation of the people of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them, to all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told them, we came to the land to which you sent us. It flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who dwell in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the Negeb, the Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the hill country. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan. But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it. Then the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are. So they brought to the people of Israel a bad report of the land that they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone to spy out is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are of great height. And there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who came from the Nephilim, and we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them. And I won't touch the Nephilim part. Tanner's going to do a 12-part series on YouTube discussing that. But at any rate, you get a little further down the road, you've got David and Goliath, and I remember at school one time they put this thing up of the estimated size of Goliath, and I was like, this joker is huge. So just to give you an idea, they at least some kind of, by our standards, freakishly tall, like scary people. But, this story, it continues in chapter 14, but, 12 are sent, only 2 think, it doesn't matter, it's great, looks great. We can take it because God's with us. And the other 10 were like, no way, Jose, we're not doing this. They're scary, they're going to kill us all. 14, you see the effect that the word of the 10 had on everybody else. Then all the congregation raised a loud cry, and the people wept that night. They wept because of the word that was brought back. And all the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The whole congregation said to them, would that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would that we had died in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us into this land to fall by the sword? Our wives and our little ones will become a prey. Would it not be better for us to go back to Egypt? And they said to one another, let us choose a leader and go back to Egypt. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the people of Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes and said to all the congregation of the people of Israel, "The land which we passed through to spy it out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey." So you almost get this picture of they trusted God so much, they said, they had an if in there. If the Lord delights in us, I fully believe that they thought he did, that he would deliver it to them. But you've almost got this picture of they believe that even if they didn't, that's God's will. So we'll go in there and die trying. If even if it's not right now, then this is what he said for us. So let's give it a whirl. Verse 9, "Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their protection is removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them." Then all the congregation said to stone them with stones. So they were fired up. But the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting to all the people of Israel. So the 10 had everybody else spun up in such a tizzy that they would rather have died in Egypt. They said, let's go back to being slaves. It's better than getting killed out here. We can't do this. Just the difference in perception of the two that believe versus the other ones. And you get, just so far they're saying, let's stone these guys. Like, we cannot do this. They want to kill them. The Lord actually has to intervene. So it's kind of crazy just the way, that played out, and the fear that, the ifs and the fear and the accusation, and we can't do this, and it takes over. Fear magnified the obstacles, but belonging magnifies the promises. So, back to that identity. You've got to think that, like I said, those things that become real to you when God asks you to do something, you obey, and you really see the fruit of it. You've got to think that maybe Caleb and Joshua had more of those type experiences because they were leaning on something that the other ones just didn't have. So, like I said, man, that you build those moments with God that he really came through, and just that flood that hit me during worship. It's easier to be filled with such gratitude because of all the things. But if you're not careful and you're not mindful, you can just forget and kind of drift away and say, well, I know, I prayed and he completely took care of the situation. I remember when I was a kid, I don't even know how old I was. I was probably like 6 or 7. I don't even know if I ever told you this. I had a lot of food allergies, and I would get just intensely ill if I had certain things. But being in so much pain, and just as a kid, crying out. I didn't know what I was really doing. I was just praying, crying out to God, and it left in an instant, and I was like, whoa. And then you have, not to pass judgment on anybody, but I don't know, how do you reconcile that with saying, well, the gifts aren't active today? I don't know. When you live it, I don't know how you build a theology around it doesn't exist, but that's a topic for another time. So another thing, I said, I was an analytical thinker. I like to really logic through things, but it's not, reading the Bible, understanding, let that wash your mind, let that cleanse your mind, let that root you, let that ground you. But it can't just be an intellectual pursuit. You can't just go and get a master's of theology and a doctoral degree from someplace and be like, well, I've arrived because now I'm smarter than everybody. And, there's an experiential component to it to let it become real. And you can't just pray for everything to be so peachy keen that you never have to go through anything, because really, in my life, the times that were awful and hurt the most is really what taught me the most. And I could forget about 100 days that were just, that's fine, it's A-okay. Those are not the ones you remember. Not that they're bad, but it's the ones, those deserts. If you're willing to surrender, it's those deserts that really move you and move you closer to him, and you find out for yourself just how faithful he is. Matthew 16. Let me get there. It talks about when Jesus asked them, let's see, pick up verse 13. Now, when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" I can't imagine what was going through his head. That's a pretty awesome story. And they said, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." Sometimes I give answers like that. It's like, what, did you finish that report yesterday? It's like, yeah, I was working on that. I was going to send it to you in like 5 minutes. Let me put the finishing touches on that and send it right over. But, sometimes, I don't know if they were trying to hedge their bets. They didn't want to make any, they were a little competitive sometimes. So maybe they wanted to not say something that they were going to regret. He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" And Peter, you got to love old bold Peter. If you watch The Chosen, I feel like they got him pretty good. He replied, you just imagine no hesitation, right? "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus answered him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven." So, you can't get your identity straight unless you really believe he is who he says he is. And you can't hedge and try to make your own rules and do your own thing and then be like, well, but he's got me on the back end. It's just, I lived through some of that. It doesn't work out well. Seeing Jesus rightly, like that story talks about, Simon knew it. Seeing him rightly changes how we see everything else. So putting everything through that lens, like your longing, your identity, of this perception of who Jesus is, it really, makes you care a lot less about your circumstances. Things that you thought were important, like somebody putting out a new CD that you weren't going to get to listen to. It's just, man, you won't care, I promise you. 1 Corinthians 13:12. "For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face." So think about vision here. "Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known." So now we see dimly. I remember one time we had a little dog named Yoshi, and it was actually when I got hired at CVS. I was really excited, and I went running down the hallway of the apartment after the call. They said, "Yeah, we're going to hire you." I was running down the hallway of the apartment we were in, and he's there with me, and he goes running, and poor little thing, he was old, and I don't think he could see that well, and he smacked right into the door frame. Like when I crossed the threshold, he was just like, bam. I was like, oh, man. But, talk about can't see clearly. I guess here's another future lesson plan for you. Sometimes when I guess you don't have a clear picture of who you're running with, you might smack into the door frame. So we'll just leave that at that. But our present reality, for now we see dimly. But even though you see dimly now, what does the last part say? Even as I am fully known. So you can see dimly now, but you're fully known. Who was talking about? We were talking about earlier, I guess. Just, he knew you before you were formed. The unfathomable. I love that those two first songs are controversial because they say God's love's not reckless. That's crazy. I'm like, I don't think we have language. I don't think we can even comprehend how much further beyond reckless his love is. And I'm sorry if that offends somebody. And then, man, I'll apologize in advance. I'm a sloppy wet kiss person for, like, don't change it. just let it ride. Let it, what the old people say? Let it flap in the breeze. I don't know, something like that. But man, just like don't change it. Just embrace it. Like why would you not want his love to absolutely overwhelm you and overrun you? Like I don't need to have a theological answer for how good he is. I mean, it's beyond anything I can imagine anyway. So you don't need perfect vision to be completely seen, because he sees you under the blood covenant. That, you know, everything Jesus did for us, it just covered anything that we could ever do. Belonging means being known completely while your understanding is still forming. So kind of going back to that oaks of righteousness, it's going to take time. I definitely feel like I absolutely don't know everything. There's stuff I just have no clue about, and that's okay. But I feel like I know more, I've experienced more now than when I was 20. Going through those things, just the level of intimacy, you know, that it's almost like you have the rat race wheel, and you can never get off of it because there's always the next thing. And my neighbor just bought a new Tesla, and I want that, and I want to make more money than this person, and I want to have a 401k with, you know, $1 billion in it. And that's hard to do because you can only put so much in a year. But I digress. But communion with the Lord will mature your vision to where, you know, you don't see clearly, but you can see more clearly as you commune with him. And then the intimacy, you know, it's almost that self-fulfilling cycle. Like, I spend more time with him, so my vision gets clearer. So now I want to spend more time with him. And then that communion increases my vision. So you end up on this cycle of growing closer with him instead of slowly slipping away. And society being what it is, I mean, we all know people. It's just like, say something to them if you know somebody. I mean, the Great Commission gets billed as this thing like, well, that's for preachers and evangelists and all this thing, but it's, you know, the Great Co-mission. Like, it's all of our mission. And it says, as they were sent. It's, you know, as you're living your life, like your everyday, who you interact with. It's not like you have to go to Bolivia and be a missionary unless you're called to do that. Just go in the course of living your life, be an example, become an oak of righteousness, show someone, be a living epistle, show somebody else what it really means to live this thing out. If you see somebody struggling, just don't be afraid to say something. I think fear of man, probably the one that maybe has hung me up the most in the past, and going back to childhood stuff, but I won't let everybody psychoanalyze me tonight. But the Lord told me recently, like, you know, perfection's great. I know building a house, right? I would assume there's a level of perfection so intricate that you would never finish the project, because, you know, perfection can become almost the enemy. But he was like, you value perfection, but you try to hide behind it because you're afraid of judgment of other people. And I was like, man, I think you're right. I didn't come up with that one. So, you know, just perfection's admirable, but he's okay with imperfection. Like, you know, he's made strong in our weakness, right? So you don't really have to worry. But going back to, you know, the Great Commission, the whole sharing the gospel thing, like, you don't have to be afraid of, and what if you pray somebody and nothing happens? Well, pray for them again. Commune with God. Like, I feel like the answer is always get closer to God. Well, if it didn't happen, then get closer with God. If it was me, I would want somebody to pray for me if I had something going on. I mean, we prayed for people and seen things happen. And I mean, you pray for somebody, see something happen, and then 6 months later, like, I think he wants me to do this, and I just don't know if I can. Or simple stuff, just I feel like I should pay for this guy's gas, and you're like, well, but what if he thinks I'm a weirdo? Like, who would think you're a weirdo? It's the injection of the if. What if? What if? Just don't listen to it. Get back on track a little bit here. So our intimacy should already be established. We're completing this journey, want to become mature, become oaks of righteousness. You got to think about our responsibility in the whole thing versus his. I heard somebody say, things are not always going to turn out perfect for me, but that's his problem. I was like, that's kind of liberating. I don't have to fix everything. And when I feel like I do, I get further and further away from where I actually need to be. So, going back to that intimacy, communion, don't put it all on yourself. Don't burden yourself. His yoke is easy, his burden is light, and that's why. It's because you're not supposed to fix everything. You're supposed to trust him. And even when it looks ugly, and even when Dora Explorer makes you cry, you got to trust him and just focus on getting closer. When you try to make it yours, you get into striving and faithlessness. And that faithless, it's the exact opposite of what we talked about. All the flood of memories, all the times that he's come through for you. If you start dwelling on, well, what if, then that faithlessness will grow instead of growing your faith. And intimacy with God grows as we truly see him more and more. So looking next at Psalm 16, 5 and 6. The Lord is my chosen portion and my cup. You hold my lot. The lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. So you're thinking about moving from chasing what you don't have to receiving what's already in front of you. Stop arguing with where you're planted. Maybe you feel like, well, I'm just some ordinary guy and, I'm not Benny Hinn. Woe is me. Well, maybe God put you where you are for such a purpose. So focus on what he wants you to do instead of how you feel. I feel like for me, contentment, breaking away from that striving mentality can feel like resignation, like you've just accepted, well, these are my circumstances and it is what it is, and you almost have a faithless attitude towards it. But I feel like when it's actually a release when you really give it to God rather than harboring it for yourself and saying, I've got to fix this. He's ultimately in charge. Pleasant places, not circumstances, but his presence, right? So still, I feel like I need to hurry up, but I'm just going to keep going. Stillness, you can't be still if you're so worked up about everything that's going on around you, and it's really hard. I got a devotional that it starts with like 2 minutes of silence, and then you're supposed to read the stuff. And man, a minute's hard. 2 minutes, it's hard to quiet your mind. It's hard to not think about 40 different things just spin in your mind or start singing some song or, whatever. But stillness almost becomes necessary to really get into his presence. You've got to be able to quiet your mind to really lean into that communion. So I think it just has to become a discipline thing. And sometimes there's not, there's better times a day. Some people are better in the mornings. I'm way better at night. I heard Chris Valentin talking about he did all that kind of stuff at night. He felt like he was not lazy, not slacking. He was getting ahead of everybody else because he was doing it the night before, not the morning of, right? So, yeah, early morning, not my jam. But if you can get into that, I remember Pastor Williams saying, just start with this moment lacks nothing. God, I'm here for you, nothing else. But practicing that stillness and then move on to the next thing, read the scripture, read the devotional, whatever it may be. But, find a discipline that works for you and really lean into quieting your mind and increasing that communion. Kind of going back to the discipline thing, we need to be intentional, not functional. I feel like there's maybe a lot of functional Christians. It's like, let me do all the things, let me check all the boxes, and there we go. We did a good job. We'll do it again next week. But if it's not intentional, then you're really going to struggle to maintain. When something kicks you in the mouth, it's going to be a lot harder to come back if you're just functioning. So delight in the Lord isn't found by escaping necessarily ordinary circumstances, but really discovered within it. So, your day-to-day life, like that's your mission. That's your mission field. Just lean into it. It doesn't have to be this big fancy thing. It just has to be what he's called you to, right? Distance keeps you confused. Nearness brings clarity. That was probably, I think it was when Beats was born. Does anybody know that in your presence, Jason Upton? I will not try to sing it for you, but man, that was on repeat. I remember listening to that in one of these random memory stories again, but I remember listening to that in the parking lot, leaving the hospital. That was just what I needed to get by. But man, you lean into that stillness, get into his presence, and it can really, like, the illusion of all this stuff going on kind of just collapses, and you stop believing the what ifs. Everybody knows immersion in Scripture, not an intellectual pursuit. I can read this. I could read this. I don't know if I can read that fast. I was going to say I could read it the whole thing every day. You can read this whole thing cover to cover, month to month, read it 12 times a year and not get anything out of it. You could read 2 verses and just pour over them for 3 hours and get more out of than the whole year. Just lean into whatever he's calling you to, and don't be afraid of just, you can be an ordinary person, and it's fine. Just, if that's what he wants you to be, then that's all you've got to be. So belonging, you belong before you perform anything. You have to know that you belong to him. If you try to put the performance piece first, then that's all you really do. You'll just be stuck in performance mode, and you won't really be truly rooted in your identity. There's another one. I think when we left our old church, there was this moment of, I've been playing drums. I don't know. I could probably count on 2 hands. So less than 10 times if you're bad at math or finger counting. How many services I missed in probably like 7 years. And so that kind of became my identity. Go in the little box and play the songs and then come out and sit down. And after 7 years, you're almost afraid to give that up. It's like, what's going to happen if that's not what I'm doing anymore? So that was an interesting one. I didn't realize until it was happening that I was that wrapped up in who that I thought that was a portion of my identity, and it was just really this performance thing. So trying to get to, this is kind of the wrap up here, the becoming. So the question changes from, we're not just trying to say the prayer, be good boys and girls, try to die and get to heaven, like all the songs I feel like I sang when I was a little kid, out of the Little Red Hymnal. You're not meant to just, the Romans 8, you're not meant to survive and just get by. You're supposed to announce the kingdom, right? So you're not becoming something that's foreign to yourself. It's not like you lack something that you need to do so you can announce the kingdom. You're really just stepping into who you really are. We were created that way. it talks about the creation is groaning. So as a part of creation, we're collectively groaning. It says the Spirit groans. We are now trying to manifest that kingdom, right? I'm sure there's way smarter people than me to talk about it, but we don't really know what that looks like. So what is this gap period? Is it like Israel in the wilderness? Is it, being more like Caleb and Joshua and saying, no, we can do this thing, just start now, start where you're at. Stop trying to be something and just be, like the whole abiding, like that's our point, right? That's our purpose. It's not a concession that you don't care. You still have that expectancy, but just being okay with not knowing what it looks like. Like, it's okay. You fully trust Him to manifest whatever it's supposed to look like. Romans 8, I want to look at 18 through 27. So start in verse 18. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of Him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope. For who hopes for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what to pray as we ought, but the Spirit Himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. So creation waits in eager expectation. So there's a revelation that happens through you living as evidence of what's been done, being a living epistle, becoming an oak of righteousness, becoming mature. Like whatever your part of the story is, you have a part to play in bringing this whole thing about. God wants to work through you. I think, all the stuff going on with leadership and churches and places, it's hard to sometimes reconcile. This person did amazing things. They gave amazing messages. They helped a lot of people, but then there was this disgusting aspect of their lives. And I think anything that's coming from God through, if the vessel becomes dirty, then I heard a guy say, if water flows through a dirty pipe, it gets dirty, right? So tending to your vessel, that purity is, everything's covered, but the purity is still important, like the Levitical priesthood and the whole nine. The purity is really important because He wants to use you, but He needs you to be pure. He'll perfect you. We talked about not by your own strength. Presence flows through character, so you can't just go around, do whatever you want to, and expect to check the boxes and experience His presence. So Jesus prayed, in Matthew 6, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So we're waiting for something. We don't know what that looks like, but we're really manifesting it through our day-to-day lives and through intimacy with Him and growing into our calling and whatever that looks like. And it's just going to be individual for every person. When you have a collective group of people who have, I feel like we have a combined purpose, and we love each other as a community, and we want to take care of each other, but there are certain aspects of the individual nature of what you've been called to that maybe I haven't, or maybe Dallas is going to grow up and be called to that maybe I'm not. So there's an individual piece too, but you're going to have to live as if, it talked about the hope. You're not waiting, you're testifying, but you live as though the kingdom is real before you have all the proof, because he said if it was here, you wouldn't be hoping for it. So you're still hoping for that manifestation. And then, Dan Moeller talks about ordinary daily. He's talking about doing the laundry with, but talking to God the whole time. So letting your ordinary day become like something with God, and then it just becomes, your entire day is kind of communion with God, and that's the way it was supposed to be set up. So, thinking about living like Joseph, living like Daniel, being a living epistle for other people, becoming established like an oak, that'll carry down to the generations. I hope that my kids run further than I could have ever hoped or dreamed to. I think there's a lot of changes we've made in our lives because we want them to go further. I think that's true. Everybody wants their kids. A lot of people want their kids to have more and do more, but generationally, let's let them run further. Let's expect them to run further. It's not all about, making more money than Dad did or taking more cool trips or whatever. Just, let them experience an intimacy with God that we couldn't have fathomed, and just let that generation pour over into the next generation and the next until, we're talking about Isaiah, someone dies at 100 and they're considered young. Who knows what this thing could look like. Overall, you just need to know him. Yeah, make a list. Like every time you've seen him come through, get your gratitude list. And when you feel crummy, just get it out. And maybe when you need to be reminded of you, it'll hit you all at once. They're just like the living epistle stuff. Joseph, part of a much bigger story than they could have imagined, and the same's true for us. Like you living day to day, you get so myopic, it's hard to really wrap your head around what is my part in all this. But just be okay with the ordinary being service to God. Let your ordinary become worship. Just live out your life with every single thing being service to God. Oh yeah, I got ahead of myself. Romans 12, 1-2. Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Not your words, but your life. Not your feelings, but your choices. Every decision you make from a place of belonging is your worship. It's not just, the songs, the worship service is so good. It's great. But you've got to be so rooted in that belonging and so sure in that identity that everything you do, you say, God, this is my worship to you. God, this is my worship to you. God, I'm working on this Excel spreadsheet, but this is my worship to you. And it changes. It changes how you think. It changes how you act. And somebody else will notice that. And it's a lot easier, like we talked about last couple of weeks, it's a lot easier to convince somebody. You see these people, YouTube videos and whatever, and stuff on the street, and it's like, yeah, reading a Bible verse to somebody who doesn't believe in the Bible is not going to move their heart. But you can live in a way that they will notice something is different about you, and that longing that's in them that's currently misplaced. They're chasing their store manager promotion at CVS. They can realign. You can help somebody else realign that, and that's really living out the gospel. It's not just about, talking to people is great. Street preaching, great. Do what you need to be, do what God has called you to do, but living that out, it's your witness. It's going to be a lot more persuasive than just trying to yell at people with a speaker and a microphone on the street corner. I'll really try to wrap up. The Psalm 73, I promise we're getting close to the end. Start verse 12, I believe. Behold, these are the wicked, always at ease. They increase in riches. All in vain have I kept my heart clean and washed my hands in innocence. For all the day long I have been stricken and rebuked every morning. If I had said, I will speak thus, I would have betrayed the generation of your children. But when I thought how to understand this, it seemed to me a wearisome task, until I went into the sanctuary of God. Then I discerned their end. Skip down. Mm, 20. 21. When my soul was embittered, when I was pricked in heart, I was brutish and ignorant. That's what I was talking about myself before. I was like a beast towards you. Nevertheless, I am continually with you. You hold my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will receive me to glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And there is nothing on earth that I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. For behold, there are those who are far from you. Behold, those who are far from you shall perish. You put an end to everyone who is unfaithful to you. But for me it is good to be near God. I have made the Lord God my refuge, that I may tell of all your works. So I felt like that really sums up everything. You know, your life will tell other people of his works, and you can, when you need it, you can remind yourself of his works. Just commit yourself to enter into the sanctuary, like it said. You know, he was frustrated. He couldn't figure out why are these wicked people prospering, and I've tried to do everything right, and then they're the ones getting all the reward, and they're the ones getting all the blessing. Just enter into the sanctuary. And if you can just hold on to that thought of, whom have I in heaven but you? There is nothing on earth I desire besides you. You know, Romans 8 talked about our present circumstances won't even be worth mentioning compared to what's coming. So I think it's important to hang on to that, because we're all going to go through stuff, but it'll be a lot easier if you can cling to that. Commit yourself to entering the sanctuary and ultimately say, I don't want anything else. Just get to that place and let the mundane be your worship. Always say, I don't want anything else but you. But hopefully that was somewhat coherent and maybe a little entertaining, but that's really the end of it. I feel like at my work right now, it's not a me thing, but I feel like there's been an attack on dads. So I'll just throw it out there. If any dads feel like they're going through something or going through an attack, we have had like a weird bout, like multiple men, like gastrointestinal stuff. But if there's any men that feel like there's something that's going on, there's an attack, physical or not, you know, I'd love to pray for you now or after service, but I'll just throw that out there. But yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I love how, you know, really what he's hitting on there is, it's really dependency, right? Obviously we know, like, we're dependent on him, and we say that a lot, but like if you're a living epistle, he's the one writing it, so you literally don't have a story unless he's writing. And if you're a mighty oak, no matter how old you are, if you're not attached to the stream, you're going to die, right? And so you're dependent on him. And There's this story in Mark 8 where I think it's Jesus and the disciples in the boat, and he says, hey, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. And they're idiots, so they're like, oh, we forgot bread, and he's like, goofballs. Like, why are you talking about bread right now? He's like, are you guys hard of hearing? Are you guys, like, having ears, have you not heard? Like, you've been watching me. Can you not see what I'm talking about here? And he says, beware of what's influencing you, right? And to his point, he was letting so many things influence him instead of just staying attached to the stream, instead of letting the writer write the epistle, and if we're not careful, even if you have the revelation that you're an epistle, you're trying to figure out what your story is so that you can live it out. You know what I mean? So you can perform it at a high level. Or, if you're more focused on being the oak instead of just being attached to the stream and then just becoming it. So it's never more apparent to me than now that, like, man, influence is like one of the most dangerous things in the world right now, because you can be influenced by anybody. We have influencers who don't know anything, but a lot of people follow them and they have a massive influence, and then they say ridiculous things and people believe it, right? And it's pretty crazy. So if you're to live in a world like we live in, if you're not attached to the stream, if you're not letting him write the story, boy, you're going to struggle. You know what I mean? And that will lead to the depression, to the, to all the things. So that's good. Let's see. An announcement tonight. We have dinner at Berry Farms. So what else did you say? You sent me another text. Something about Taziki's. Outdoor area in front of Taziki's. Grab food and meet wherever, and we'll meet there. Is that it? We're good. All right, let's stand and I'll pray. That's not it? Oh, women's night? Yeah, I'm so bad at this. Oh, women's prayer and worship. Oh, at our house. Awesome. Thursday the 6th. Okay, that's this Thursday? Yeah. This Thursday, there'll be women praying at my house. So, all right, Lord. Father, we're thankful that we have a stream to connect to that is our ultimate influence. And we are thankful, God, that you are writing this story. And God, it's our desire to get out of your way and let you do what you're going to do. So give us the grace to trust you and set our hope on you and in nothing else. Lord, that we wouldn't be influenced by anything other than your promises, your words. Your words and promises are the streams that we drink from. They're the things we set our hope in. They're the things that fuel us. And they're the very reason why we can keep going when we can't see where we're going. Even though we see dimly, we know that we can keep moving forward because of the words and promises that you've spoken. We believe them. So, Lord, I just ask for a special grace for everyone here to continue forward, drinking from the stream that is you and allowing you to write your story, Lord, that we might actually become the mighty oaks that declare your goodness in the earth for all to see. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys.